right, message in the chat. Let's hear how the sound is. All right, cool. Sound is, or sounds pretty well, at least in my opinion. I don't know exactly what I could do to fix that if it didn't, but greetings, gamer guys and gals. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream. It's been a while, a couple of weeks actually. I was out on being a little bit under the weather, and then I went on vacation. So I was gone for a time. Still regular uploads, which is great. We're just about done with Pokemon Coliseum Let's Play, which is pretty darn cool, if I may say so myself. Let's see. I need 2 heart pieces left. Well, actually, let's see. 1... Yeah, I only need 2 heart pieces left. Oh, those last 2 heart pieces, I believe, are in Death Mountain in the Dark World. One of them can only be obtained actually in the middle of the last dungeon. Well, the last dungeon before Ganon's Tower. So, technically not the last dungeon. But, you know, I'm pretty excited because we're actually getting our last Y item in this dungeon. Though we are getting some upgrades after this dungeon, which is going to be very cool. Some pretty darn broken upgrades. And I'm excited for that because it's fantastic. I forgot that I had already opened up Mire. We are getting 2 more full heart containers, so yeah, we only have 2 heart pieces left, and I know exactly where both of them are. Usually I don't get those 2 until the very end of the game, due to the fact that, well, you know, it's just kind of pointless to go somewhere ahead of time before you actually need to go there, because the part of Death Mountain in which we could get the 1 heart piece right now, and we could get it right now, is out of the way. It's basically like the only time that you're ever going to go there is when you are determined on fighting either Turtle Rock or Ganon's Tower. But here, we are in the Misery Swamp, and in the 6th dungeon, Misery Mire. Misery loves her company, doesn't she? Alright, let's enter in, shall we? Without any further ado. Yeah, so I was looking up stuff about this, and I don't know that anybody has successfully ever done a bomb jump across this. There probably has been people who have. I've only successfully done a handful of bomb jumps, and I was not about to sit here and just do this time and time again. Though, if you could possibly do Misery Mire out of sequence, basically as soon as you possibly could, you could get yourself some pretty darn broken upgrades that would utterly trivialize this game, even more so than we already have. So that's a thought there that I just wanted to bring up. Something that interests me because I wonder if it is possible. I don't know that it is. Alright. Whiz robes. A very annoying enemy. But if you have the sword beams, you can take care of them pretty darn well. The dungeon item for this dungeon is supposed to be the thing that you use to take care of whiz robes, because they spawn usually in like a diamond pattern kind of deal. But I find that the dungeon item for this dungeon particularly is actually pretty darn terrible. And it's very unfortunate that that's the case, because the dungeon item itself is the last, like, main item that you get. that isn't like an upgrade. The rest of the items that we're going to be getting from here on out are just going to be basically upgrades, which is not a problem. I'm not complaining about that. It's just more or less like it's not useful. It is another cane, like the Cane of Burna. The problem is that it wishes it could be the shadow of the shadow of the shadow of the Cane of Burna. That's how bad it is in comparison to the Cane of Burna. But, of course, like I said, not every weapon should be as good as one another. Not every item should be as good as one another. I don't know if either one of these are bombable. In fact, I don't think they are, but we've got 40 bombs. It's not like it's a big deal. All right. Let's see. We can go up here. We do have the wonderful, wonderful cape. All right, there's no point in being up here. Well, actually, one of these could have... no. I was hoping for some magic powder. Which almost sounds counterintuitive because I just wasted some magic powder. I have 3 blue potions. That's intriguing. I had totally forgotten that that was something I had done. Obtaining that many blue potions is pretty darn wild. Alright, so this is the reason why the Wiz Rogues can kind of stink. If you don't have a long-range means of dealing with them, you have to go after them individually and fight them. Which is okay, you know. So we went the total wrong way for this. Which, I mean, it's fine. This dungeon is insanely... This dungeon and Turtle Rock are puzzles. Ganon Tower is probably the most difficult puzzle in the game, I would say. It's not, like, painful difficult, but it is difficult. But aside from Ganon's Tower, I would actually say that Misery Mire is the most infamous dungeon in this game. That mostly has to do with the fact that it's not easy in the slightest. We need to KO this dude down here. Yeah, it's not easy in the slightest, and it doesn't give you any tools that make this easier. Which sounds weird to say, but it's kind of the truth here. The game doesn't give you any tools that make this, like the cane that we get in this, it just doesn't make this easier at all. Which is fine. Again, like this is another one of those things where not every dungeon should have items that just make the game trivial. But I will say that it's kind of odd that we almost don't at all use the dungeon item for this dungeon. You can't really use it against the boss. It doesn't really work against the boss from my recollection. So it's just kind of weird. It's kind of weird. I like this dungeon for what it is though, because it's supposed to be difficult. And buddy, is it difficult. It's kind of annoyingly difficult at times. Not exactly like what I would say conducive to like easygoing casual play. You have to pay attention where you're going, what you're doing. It can be kind of like a backtracker's nightmare is what this dungeon can turn into. Now we have discovered quite a few areas. We can't go down that way, can we? Actually, you know what? We need to go back. We can already access some areas over here, I think. Yeah, but Misery Mire is pretty cool. I mean, I like the boss of this dungeon too, though the boss of this dungeon is kind of one of those bosses that, if you know what you're doing, there's really no way you're going to be defeated by the boss. Even though the boss does excessive amounts of damage. It's just because like prior knowledge of this game can win you the game, which I think is cool. I don't think that's a problem. There's probably people out there who would say that it's a problem for like repeat playthroughs, but I don't think so. I think it's just the opposite. What you have in this game is that you can in repeat playthroughs get better and better and quicker at the game and just beat it so much faster and so much better that you know, it's sort of like you're in a way speedrunning the game. Though I wouldn't call myself a speedrunner, that's for sure. The only game in my life that I've ever come close to, like, decent records is Super Ghouls and Ghosts. Which is funny, because I've not exactly had great runs on my stream so far. And I have a feeling that that is due, and this is not me making excuses, but I have a feeling that this is primarily due to the fact that streaming is kind of difficult. It's difficult entertaining people, or trying to be entertaining, while also playing a game. Like anybody who streams regularly, and you just think, oh well, you know, they're doing a nothing job and stuff like that. I was one of those people. I thought it was like a nothing job. Like this is not something people should be paid for, so on and so forth, whatever. But then I started doing it and realizing that like it's actually kind of difficult. I give some props to the people who do this regularly, because it's not like a no-brainer thing. All right. Yeah, we found 3 keys so far. We have several places we can use them too. Let's see. Look on the map. Yeah, so our dungeon item is to the right. Very easy to obtain it. Once we get the big key, it's a no-brainer. You just have to hookshot across that little ledge that you saw me fail to hookshot across, and just run. I will say, though, one thing that I do absolutely love about this game is just the fact that it is so well designed, in my opinion. There are so many of these dungeons, so many of the ways that like you can do things out of order and stuff like that is just, in my opinion, really well done. I don't know that we need to hit this, but we're going to just for posterity's sake. Knowing this dungeon, I mean, I haven't played it in a little while, but it's possible that there is a key in one of these pots, so we're going to be looking. Alright, so like, the Beamos are one of my least favorite enemies in this game, because you cannot do anything about them, unlike in other Zelda games. Okay, so that's the boss key. I know that for sure. This is like the most hilarious tease in the game. Now, you can absolutely skip this. You can bomb jump and get that boss key. I don't particularly know how. I'm not even gonna really try it, but it would be kind of funny if I could get it to go, but I don't think I'm going to be able to, because I've seen it done, but it's kind of like that kind of stuff is, you know, just more dedicated. You have to be playing this game quite a while to figure it out. All right, so we can open you. So I wasn't supposed to open that or press the switch. Well, that stinks. Yeah, and this shuts behind you. Get out of my way. Alright, so This is just... We just got reset, unfortunately. That's kind of really weird. We wouldn't mind some health from this. Just one of those things that, you know, you can trivialize. And I actually appreciate those kinds of things because it's just interesting. Oh, you know what? I think we can get the boss key down here. Ooh, a full medicine of magic. Alright, so... if I'm not mistaken, what we want to do here get out of my way, Wizrobe. We want to open these up. Don't really need that heart. Yeah, we want to open those up. We're going to be using the fire rod because even though you can use the lantern, it's just faster to use the fire rod. You can't, well, you can use the lantern for the bottom too. You can actually open those up. So you don't need the fire rod for this part in this at all. Which I assumed you did. You can actually beat this dungeon without having gotten the fire rod or beaten dungeon 3, from what I can understand. So like these can move, they can move the same way, be moved out of the way. I would still recommend doing dungeon 3 because, you know, what's the point of waiting? And this is really weird. One of the only times in this game where the intended place that it wants you to go is down a hole that doesn't look like it has a bottom to it. So most people will be like, what's this for? And then just walk away from it. No, you absolutely want to drop down this the moment that you get the ability to open it because you get the big key, which is amazing. Now, right now, we don't even have to backtrack through all the annoyances, like to get back to the key area. What we can do, very simply, all right, let's use the magic mirror. We're gonna need the hook shot right quick. Does mean we have to backtrack to that, but we do want to get the Cane of Samaria as fast as possible. Yeah, this is actually one of those rooms that if you have bombos, you might want to use it. I don't know if Quake or Ether work on those kinds of enemies, but the thing is that Quake does work on a lot of grounded enemies, and Ether does work on a lot of aerial enemies. And like Ether will zap enemies that are flying, and it will freeze enemies that are grounded. Whereas Quake will turn them all into like slimes. But Bombos kills everything. So even though you've seen me use Bombos quite a lot in this run, and it looks like it's just overused, like the most powerful, there are reasons to use the Aether and Quake Medallion. And they're good, they're just not as good. It's unfortunate that that's the case, because my favorite looking medallion is probably Ether. You got the Cane of Samaria. It will be very helpful if you make proper use of it. What a mysterious cane. Yeah, what a mysterious cane. And it is right. You have to make proper use of it. Because there is, like, use cases for it. And then there's just, like, no... It's really weird. It's a really weird item. It has very specific uses. However, you absolutely cannot even enter, like, any... Well, I mean, that's not true. You can actually bomb jump through part of part of Turtle Rock, but you can't get through all of Turtle Rock without the Cane of Samaria. You need the cane. Where do we want to go now? See, this is the reason why this map is kind of a little bit tricky, or this dungeon, because the problem with this dungeon is that you see all these like interconnections, and you can be like, oh, you know, I should go here and up there and whatever. But the issue really actually has to come to the point where you go like, oh, wait a minute though, I can't actually go there because that's over or under, and it doesn't show you on the map. That's one of the problems with the map, in my opinion. It's not like a real big problem or like a serious issue, but it is something to keep in mind. This dungeon can absolutely fry your brain. Absolutely fry your brain. The only problem with using that mirror to get out of here is I put the... It basically means I have to find the switch again. Where was the switch? Wasn't it above me? If it was above me, we need to go elsewhere. Yeah, I think it was above me through here. But where, though? It was either to the left, right here. No. So I have to go up. Yeah, that's the problem with this dungeon. Now we kind of need to use the teleport. Really interesting, you can't use that in a doorway. It just gave me the noise. Like, nope, you can't do this. Alright. So yeah, this is a bit of a pain, but you know, it's kind of almost to be expected in a way. Alright. Alright, BMOS, you had your fun blasting me. We're going to get through the dungeon one way or another. So we have everything we need to on the right-hand side, except for we can go upwards. Basically, once you get the Cane of Samaria, you can complete this dungeon. As long as you have, like, the small keys in order to get through, like, the portions that require small keys. Alrighty, we've already done this, so this isn't right. Perhaps... Yeah, up here is right. This is where we want to go. I don't actually think we have anywhere else in this dungeon to explore, which is odd in a way, because you would think the dungeon would be much bigger than this, but because of my finding of the big key already, and my obtaining of the cane, we're pretty much set. The only thing I'm worried about is going through here and finding out that we need, like, and that's a full medicine magic, always is, finding out that we need, like, the switches turned down, which would really stink, because then we would have to go find the switch. But then again, I think there are switches under here. So we're gonna find out, shall we? This room is delightful. Alright, so there's a key spot here. Yeah, all this is one of these rooms. Get yourself some moolah if you need it. And then now we need the Cane of Samaria for this next portion of this this stage, because what the cane does didn't move it quite, is it creates blocks. Now what it also does is that you can press the cane again and the block will explode and shoot 4 lasers, one in each of the cardinal directions. That sounds cute, except the lasers are not really that powerful and they're not really that useful. Now there is one other use of the cane. Thank you for letting me get you. There is one other use of the cane, but it is just for particularly Turtle Rock. Something that only can be done or utilized in Turtle Rock, which is kind of a shame. Alright, so what's... Alright, so where shall we go? We may or may not actually need to... we may or may not actually need to do anything with that switch, because it would normally be blue, I think, right now. And we do need a bomb. Alright, that bomb worked. That can be a bit tricky right there to deal with. And we have another one of these rooms. We're getting all the money in the entire world. So that room was pointless. Alright. Well, at least we know now. Yeah, these little fireball shooting dudes are one of the more annoying, like, side enemies in this game, especially when they're well placed. Yeah, so you don't actually need to worry about pressing the switch any which way when you come over here. We have missed some rooms in this dungeon. I'm not exactly doing a walkthrough, so I don't think that really matters. But I don't believe that they're any important. Like, any importance whatsoever. Alright, so... what shall we do and find here? I don't think any of these slimes can give me magic, but if they could, that'd be appreciated. Okay, they can. I just did not know for a fact. That would be nice, actually, to get a little bit of magic before we go to the boss, because we are very much there. We do have 3 potions of magic, but... and a lot of rupees, so it's not like we're hurting for magic right now. But, hey, you know, whenever you can get it for free, that's always cool with me. In games, that is. Alright, so let's see. Yeah, we need the bow for this fight. Oh, you know what would actually be great? So the idea here is you just want to kill Vitreous's eyes away from the middle of the screen because he shoots lightning. So choose a corner and let them come to you. And then afterwards, you want to use... and I ended up getting hit by lightning. You just want to use the bow and spam it, because the problem is that Vitreous doesn't move any other way than forward. So if you know how to deal with that, Vitreous is pretty darn easy. You also do not at all want to hit his eyeballs while they're in this goo. If you touch this goo, even with blue mail, it's immediate like 3 hearts of damage.
Zeake, because of you, I can escape from the clutches of evil monsters. Thank you. Ganon captured us because he couldn't break the seal of the wise men with his power alone. And then, using the Wizard of Ganon as his pawn, he drew us to the Dark World. After cracking the seal with our powers, he sealed us inside of these crystals. He then gave us to his loyal monsters, but Ganon didn't plan on your getting this far. Now Princess Zelda is waiting for you inside of Turtle Rock. Please hurry. Do you understand?
Of course we do.
May the way of the hero lead to the Triforce.
And we get our full magic back, full health back, and we're pretty darn close to the end of this game. We technically have 2 more dungeons, a couple more heart pieces to get, and some little things here and there we can obtain. So while we're at it, let's go ahead and find some of these little things, shall we? Okay, we can't teleport right there. The game is stingy sometimes. But we can teleport right here. Alright, so let's fly away. We don't actually need anything in preparation of the next dungeon. So, very literally, we can just go right straight on to Turtle Rock, which is pretty darn cool, to say the least, because what that means is we're going to be able to get probably both of those dungeons done in this stream, maybe even a little bit more, but I have my doubts that we're going to get into Ganon's Tower in the stream, unless I want this stream to be very long, because the problem is Ganon's Tower is bar none the biggest dungeon in this game, pretty much by a landslide. Pretty much. And I don't think anybody would even debate that. You know, it's exceptionally large. It's also very annoying in some parts of it, because it's just very confusing. The way they built that dungeon was basically super duper like I don't know exactly how to put it. More like it's difficult minded. They want you to really use your brain and think quite a bit about where you're going and what you're doing, and so on and so forth. Oh, actually, you know what? I am failing to do something here that's very important. Crazy important, in fact. In fact, it's more important than going to Turtle Rock. I'm over here talking my little mouth off and forgot that there is something that we can obtain right now. Okay, the red knights are a little bit quicker than the other ones. And straight through. Yeah, these enemies are about to become even easier for us to defeat, if you can believe it. Alright, so once you beat Dungeon 6, we do have all 4 bottles. Yes, we do. I don't know why I was just for a second there blanking on what you can do. Once you beat Dungeon 6, you can go back to your house in the Dark World, and you can buy yourself, with 100 rupees, this super bomb. You cannot drop down ledges. You cannot run or dash with this. Once you press A, you drop the bomb. And then you have to go buy a new one if you waste it. But as we see, we have 8 more tries. And believe me when I tell you, there's pretty much an infinite amount of money in this game. It is not hard to obtain money in A Link to the Past. Once you get into the Dark World, that is, because the chest game is so stupid easy, and so is the digging game for getting money. It's actually like, it's pretty much inexcusable if you find yourself without rupees and no way to get them in this game. It's just that, it's that generous. So we want to come back here. We actually heard from a rumor that we could use a super bomb or something like that right here in the pyramid. We'll finally figure out what that hole right there does. So coming into here. Oh wait, no, that hole is for something else. Never mind. Never mind. We're going to see that later, but yes. Mysterious pond. Won't you throw something in? Throw an item. Yes, we're going to throw the bow. Hello there. Did you drop this? Yes. You are an honest person. I like you. I will give you something important. These are the silver arrows to give Ganon his last moment. You definitely need them. I know I don't quite have the figure of a fairy. Ganon's cruel power is to blame. You must defeat Ganon. All right. So these are the silver arrows you need to defeat Ganon. The reason why you can't get these until after you beat Dungeon 6 is because they are the most powerful item in the game, probably bar the Bombos Medallion. And that is, well, even better than the Bombos Medallion in a way, because these arrows, like how you saw me take 8 shots to kill Vitreous's second form, these arrows insta-kill him. In fact, they insta-kill every boss that they are effective against except for Ganon. Every single boss. They insta-kill every single overworld enemy. That is how utterly broken they are, and they are wonderful. Amazing tools. I don't think you can use them on Trinex, which is the boss of Turtle Rock, but no, I really don't think you can. Even if you could, it would be very difficult to, because he has a weird area of, like, where you can hit him. In his second form, at least. Throw an item. We're going to throw the sword. Hello there, did you drop this? Yes. I like an honest person. I'll give you something better in return. Your sword is stronger. You can feel its power throbbing in your hand. You get the golden sword, which, by the way, again, the regular swing is double the power of the tempered sword. So we're talking about a sword that is 4 times as powerful as the Master Sword and 8 times as powerful as the sword that you get in the beginning of this game. The sword beams of this sword are as powerful as the tempered sword swings. So the enemies that I was KOing with 2 shots with the tempered sword beams, or 1 shot with the swing, I can now 1-shot them with the beams. It is so blisteringly powerful. We have a couple more upgrades to get. We're not going to throw anything else in this. I didn't mean to do that. In every one of these fairy ponds, there's 3 of them. There's the one in Lake Hylia, there's the one in the waterfall, and there's the one here. You can, and I believe I have mentioned this before, you can throw an empty bottle in them, and they will give you a free green potion, which is cool if you don't want to grind for rupees and you just want green potions. Because as you see, most of the dungeons have ways to get fairies. And even if they don't have like actual fairy ponds, doesn't matter. There are fairy ponds you can access in the overworld, and most dungeons have those fiery skull things that you can transform with the magic powder into fairies. So there are ways to circumvent some things in this game. So we have pretty much the most powerful set we can get. The only thing that we're missing 2 upgrades. I wonder if you can guess what they are. If you don't know this game, or if you haven't played it, do you think you can guess what other 2 items we have left to upgrade? What other 2 items on this entire equipment list do we have to upgrade? All right. So with all that being said, though, we are now actually ready to take on good old Turtle Rock. You do want the golden sword before you fight Turtle Rock. It makes Trinex blisteringly easy in comparison to without it. Also, this is the point in the game where I would say that if you don't have the Ice Rod, because the Ice Rod is totally optional, and if you don't have the Fire Rod, I would suggest going and getting that, because both of them are required to fight Trinex. So that's the reason why in the early game, Sahasrara is like, you really want to go visit that cave, that secret cave in the northwest side of Lake Hylia, because you will get yourself this wonderful, wonderful thing. And it's because it's actually required. The Ice Rod is not required for any other part of the game than for the boss of Turtle Rock. Like, literally no other part of the game. Which is kind of strange, if I'm being honest, because it basically means that it's pretty much a superfluous item. It's not really that great in combat, because even though it can freeze enemies, it doesn't actually KO most enemies. There's only a select few of really weak enemies that it will KO. Which isn't a problem, per se. You know, you don't need every single weapon in the game to KO things. I mean, or every single item. I have literally the flute on me, and it can't do any of that. So weapons and items do have to have some form of utility, in my opinion. But the Ice Rod kind of doesn't. And the reason why I say that is because, like, you have to be precise with it, which isn't really hard to do, but anything the Ice Rod can freeze. This is the reason why the Fire Rod is not something you're seeing me spam, because of Bombos. Anything the Ice Rod can freeze, Aether can freeze. Which means that both of these medallions with 1/2 magic, which is what we have, as long as you are fighting more than one enemy, both of these medallions are far and away more cost effective, because a single medallion use takes 2 shots of the Ice Rod or Fire Rod to use the same magic. So that means that if you're fighting any more than 2 enemies, Bombos and Aether are just leagues and bounds better. Just straight up, like there is no competition. Does that mean you can't use them? Absolutely not. They're still fun to use. I would still use them if you want to. It's just a fact of this game. Like, and there is a such thing as objective fact. There's plenty of objective fact in life that people are ignoring. And one of those objective facts in this game that people sometimes ignore is the actual effectiveness of these 2 rods. They're not really that great. In fact, I would say out of all the rods and canes, the cane of Berna, which is the most optional item in this game, because you need an optional item in this game in order to get that optional item. It's the most useful of the canes and rods, which is pretty darn shocking, to say the least. It's also cool, too, that there is that dynamic. I actually think that it's cool that the game doesn't just load you up with a bunch of really broken items and say, well, here you go. Alright, so this is a shop. And this is where we have to go. Is it here? Don't know exactly, but we will find out. Alright, it is here. fall ourselves down here. I think this is called Paradox Cave. I'm pretty sure part of that reason would be because it is kind of like a literal paradox. And I want to say we have to drop down here. I think the other two drops are not necessary. We've got bombs we don't need. Yeah, so there's that there. I want to say that's another location where you can get one of those full magics. Alright, cool. We completed Paradox Cave with little to no trouble. Alright, so we do absolutely need the hook shot for this. Aw. I was trying not to pick that up because we want the ability to go back. Alright, cool. Yeah, I want to say that most of what's in here is just literal rupees. I don't even think this is necessary. Huh. Is that really the case, though? Okay, so another thing, a hidden use of the Ether Medallion is being able to see blanked out tiles. So that's pretty cool. I think there might be a torch spot in the left-hand side so you can actually torch it and see those tiles without having to use Ether. But we can just use Ether and move on, because I'm pretty sure that those spots are just like money. We have 926 rupees. And I didn't mean to go that way yet, but that means we can't bomb. And this is not a bombable wall, though it looks like it. Oh, we still need bombs. Alright, so this is a fairy site before you fight Turtle Rock, which is pretty cool. I wouldn't say it's like the fastest thing to access, but it is something that you can access completely. And then here is one of two of the final heart pieces in the game, which is pretty cool. You can actually obtain this the moment that you can get into the Dark World with Titan Smiths. So after you beat Dungeon 4, you can obtain that heart piece immediately. But like I said before, it's kind of a waste because you're having to backtrack. And it's completely out of your way. So I just always leave that heart piece for when I go fight the actual Turtle Rock. Alright, so, and now we have to use the hammer to tap these down in the Triforce. Courage, power, and wisdom. So right, up, and left. So the Triforce is the top being power, which is Ganon's piece, the right being courage, which is Link's piece, and the left being wisdom, which is Zelda's piece. But, however, what's really cool about this game is that you actually, because of the way that this game is set up, this is basically like a post-apocalyptic game, in the sense that Ganon has actually won. He killed Link in the past, like in the far past, and thereby he has taken the complete Triforce, all three pieces, and he is wreaking havoc. And then they sealed him into the Dark World. The 7 sages sealed him into the Dark World so that he would have his corruption, all his power, but he couldn't use any of it in the Light World. And so what we're doing right now is we're rectifying our ancestors' fault. A lot of people like to say incarnations or reincarnations, And that might even be exactly what the Zelda series is trying to do, but I believe in that nonsense zero, so I like saying ancestor and descendant and so on and so forth, because it just makes more sense in reality. Because, I mean, you can't... Fantasy is fantasy, and it's fun for it to be fantastical, but the problem is that there has to be some level of realism to fantasy in order for it to be believable. And here, we have to use the Quake Medallion. So you do want to make sure you go up that little river and gather yourself the Quake Medallion by throwing an item into that catfish's pond. The Quake Fish, or whatever he wants to call himself. And now we have access to the 7th dungeon. In the Dark World, that is. So this isn't actually the 7th dungeon. Alright, so every time you're out of magic, and let's say you don't have the magic powder, or magic medicine, or so on and so forth, because all Sahasra is going to tell you here. Zeake, do you possess the medicine of magic? If not, I recommend against going any further. Yeah. You kind of don't need the medicine of magic to go any further. You do want to have 1/2 magic. You don't need it. It is actually considered an optional item in this game. Completely optional. You don't need the half magic. But every time you run out of magic, you can just teleport back to the beginning of this dungeon, and this thingamaboober right here will always be a full magic heal. Alright, so you need the Cane of Samaria here. This is the function that it has in this dungeon that it has nowhere else. And it's really, really weird. Some of it's a bit wonky too. The way you have to turn using it doesn't always work, and it feels like it eats your input. So this dungeon is a little bit more annoying than it is an actual puzzle. Alright. Well, darn you. Yep, that's a magic heal. I need some arrows. That's pretty nice. Fantastic. Yeah, we didn't mean to do that. Alright, so... that's always a full magic heal too. Which is one of the reasons why I like this dungeon, is that it does have access to like all the means at which you would need to get your magic restored. Alright, so if you can see what we're supposed to do here, it is pretty obvious in my opinion. Though I think I've messed up. We'll see if we get there in time. Okay, no, I didn't mess up. Cool. Yeah, so there's a lot of things in this dungeon that can be kind of wonky like that. Didn't mean to do that, but okay. Some magic there. Yeah, so like you absolutely do not need to use the cape for like dodging these things, but I use it because why not? The cape also takes way more magic than the Cane of Berna. The problem with the Cane of Berna is, though, if I were to use it right here, anytime you hit something, you're not intangible, like with the cape. So anytime you hit something, you still bonk, you just don't take any damage. So like hitting spikes and stuff like that, it's really not great. At least in that factor. And we do have 3 full blue potions, so we don't really have to worry too much about losing our magic. Alrighty. And you are defeated, oh skeleton man. Yeah, so the best way to deal with these rooms, if you can, is just to stand in the door, hold your sword out. The tiles go and hit your sword. That tile was a little bit too close. Yep, one of those rooms where you literally have to wait for all of the tiles before it opens up. I don't think pulling either of these tongues do anything. I'm pretty sure that all this room is just a fairy and a magic heal. Which, not complaining. Those are actually quite useful things. We do have the map, which is fantastic, because this dungeon is a bit of a pain to navigate. So it does have 4 floors in total. It was funny because I think it was the ice dungeon I was saying had 7 floors, but it had 7 basements and then 1 first floor, so it actually had 8 floors. Which, you know, that's just a mistake of me seeing it wrong. I think what we want to do is want to go to the northwestern door first, and then the southwestern door next. I think. We do have a key. Yeah, so one of the cool things about the golden sword is that it wreaks havoc on almost all enemies in the game. The only enemies that still take quite a lot of hits are Lionels and High Noxes. High Noxes are the one-eyed bomb throwing dudes, which is funny because if you play any of Breath of the Wild, one of my favorite games of all time, those are the first instances in the series where High Noxes and Lionels were actually in a 3D Zelda game. They first appeared in this game, I believe. I don't think High Noxes or Lionels were in either the previous 2 Zelda games. Yeah, so you do have to move that block in order to find that. So it's a little bit tricky there. A little bit tricky. Bit of an item refill. Yeah, so this is the biggest puzzle about this this area is these tunnel tube-like things. They're really, really wonky and wacky. Where like they go, you have to pay attention to what they're doing. Sometimes I get fully lost in this dungeon because of it. All right. So I think we want to go to the right one first and the left one next. I think. We're going to be moving around quite a lot. See, like, there's 4 of those right there. Literally ways for days for you to find ways to get fairies in this dungeon, or pretty much any Dark World dungeon, because a lot of those skull-like things exist in the Dark World dungeons. Alright, so what is this? Big key. Okay, cool. And then we go here. Get our full magic back. I am going the wrong way. It's down here. We can always get our health back, though. You kind of want to be careful with your aim there, because letting them hit you is very detrimental. Because it's kind of like a way for them to have it so that there's a punishing mechanic to those, because they seem like they're just free fairies. And to, like, the layman who just looks at it and goes, well, yeah, that's pretty much what they are. It's just free fairies. Not actually, though. And here's the reason why. if they hit you, they take magic. They don't just take health, they take magic. So you can find yourself missing and getting hit constantly and losing your magic. And it's happened to me before, I even think in this playthrough. I think it's actually a good thing. Now, some people might be looking at me like, Gamerman, what are you talking about? A good thing? I think challenge and difficulty in games is rewarding sometimes. Sometimes I don't. I think sometimes challenge is just like, not every game needs to be breakneck challenging. Like, you're just sitting there writhing in agony because of how difficult it is. But having little things like that balance the game and make it a little bit more difficult, or give you like a minus to your plus, is a good thing, in my opinion. And instead of dealing with these guys, we're just doing the tried and true, busted method of taking out the entire room in a literal instant. Yeah, it's really weird to me that these pots even have rupees in them. Like, by this point in the game, you shouldn't even need rupees. Alright, so map says... Okay, so this is actually where we need to go. I think to the right first? Maybe? I might have been wrong about that, but okay. In fact, I'm pretty sure I was wrong about that. Alright, we do need to remember that spot up there. That's actually where we need to go after we go down here. Maybe it's over here we get... No. We do have to go left. Alright, so the way the eyes work is that if you face the wall, the 2 open eyes will close, but the 3 closed eyes will open and they'll shoot you. So you have to kind of dodge like both considerations here. Alright, so I think it's right here, literally. Alright, so you want to teleport, I believe, right here. Yes, it is. And this... We're going to be getting something very interesting from this. Alright. There we go. Got him to be in the way. And then we will hammer these down. The mimic dudes are so funny. The only ones that are kind of even a threat are the red ones. And if you're halfway intelligent, they're not really that big of a threat. So we got our final heart piece. We have one more heart container that we are going to obtain at the end of this dungeon. And then we will have 20 hearts. And we'll be done with that. I was not expecting to get all the hearts in this game. But it just like clicked in the last episode. Oh, wait, I know where the last 4 heart pieces are. Well, actually, it was more like 6 at the time, I think. Yeah, I think it was 6. And then I just was like, okay, I'm gonna go and get these immediately. Which was pretty cool, because I like having 20 hearts. I just didn't want to pad out like the streams with me searching for heart pieces. You found the Mire shield. You can now reflect beams that your old shield couldn't block. Pretty darn awesome. One thing, though, that I must say, you probably want to be very careful with those pumpkin-like enemies that can steal your shield. Because I don't know if they can steal the Mire shield. And I am almost 100% certain that if they could, there's no way of you getting the Mire shield back. This is something I would like to test, not in these streams, probably sometime after I beat this game, maybe for like a short or something like that, just to see if that's the case, because that would be pretty darn devastating. you could get a fire shield back pretty easily with either rupees or just upgrading a blue shield that you buy. But man, oh man, losing the shield would be just a devastating thing, especially if you couldn't get it back. So bear that in mind. Like, please do bear that in mind. So all the old things that the old shields could block, this shield can block, plus it can block the I-beam lasers that come from the walls. I wish it blocked BMOS lasers, but I don't think it does. Alright, so, yeah, we have... Yeah, I'm over here like, oh yeah, this is one of the more difficult dungeons to traverse, so on and so forth. And I'm over here just like trivializing it. I remembered my way, sort of like with Misery Mire. That was pretty darn quick too. I don't remember which way we're supposed to go first. Alright, so... Yeah, but do you see, like, what I'm talking about with how almost non-useful the Cane of Samaria is? It's useful in this dungeon for traversing, but that's because of the way the dungeon is designed. Alright, I didn't understand why that wasn't letting me pull that. Alright, so all that does is drop bombs, I think. Yep. And this is one of those rupee rooms, for your information. I didn't know where it went either, so that's a lot of rupees. Each one of those is, what, 5 rupees a piece? So what's that, like 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30? Actually, let's count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 3, 6, 9. 9 times what? 3, 6. So, what is that? 36? 9 times 5 is 45. I'm a retard. It's 54. That's 540 rupees right there. That's pretty insane. All right. I think that's our last key there. That we need in this dungeon. Not sure, like, completely, but you know what they say. Alright, so this is where this part gets super duper annoying. No, that's not right. Yeah, this part gets super annoying. Reason being is because okay, where do we go? Right here, I think. And there's only one door, it's down, so we have to go down there. Yeah, this part, the reason why this gets annoying is because of these fire rods, as you can probably plainly see. I found my way here too. That's pretty cool. Only took me like, what, 8 or 9 hearts? Oops. Went a little bit too far. Alright, so I was wrong. There is another key. Alright, so how you deal with these wall lasers is you just hold out your sword. With the shield facing the wall. It's pretty simple, but, you know, you might not necessarily think about it upon, like, playing this game beforehand, because the thing is that this game doesn't tell you to do this. And there's our key. I don't know what this room is for, but we're gonna find out. Alright, this is another drop. I don't know exactly what that goes to or leads to, but it's of zero importance because we have all the heart pieces in game and all the items in game. Ah, the silver arrows even kill the hard hat beetles. The red ones in one hit. That's something even the sword won't do. Alright, so we can refill some health here. Fantastic. And then we go up here. Well, not quite. Now we can go up here. So we just went from near death to full healed, and I didn't have to use any such thing like a potion or anything like that. So just proving my point there. Alright, so this counts as multiple enemies. That's why it doesn't kill that one in one hit. I don't remember what they're called, but yeah, there are multiple enemies. And there you go, right before we fight the boss, we get another full magic meter. Because yes, we are absolutely going to the boss. And this boss is named aptly Trinex. So what you have to do here is you have to use... Woo, hit me real good right there. Each of the rods, the fire and the ice rod, to make his secondary heads vulnerable. Aw, darn. I didn't necessarily want to go down without or you know, using the fairy to heal me, because that's not very reliable. Alright, so what we are going to do here, though, we're actually going to use one of the potions and then the cane of Samaria. Or Burna. And then just go in and hit him. It's really hard to close the distance with Trinex because he does 3 damage a hit. So the cane of Burna just kind of makes it super duper trivial. And there we are. We have all 20 hearts.
I appreciate your coming so far to rescue me. As I thought, you are the legendary hero. I have felt this from the first time we met. Ganon is waiting inside of his tower to pass through the gate linking the 2 worlds. Once Ganon enters the light world, it is unlikely that anyone can stop him. But if he stays in the closed space of this world, you can find him wherever he runs. Now go to the Tower of Ganon. We will use our combined powers to break the barrier. Let's return peace to the country without fail. Do you understand?
Yes, we do, Zelda.
May the way of the hero lead to the Triforce.
Well, there we have it. We beat two of the more infamous dungeons in this game. Quite difficult dungeons, too. I was not actually assuming that we would beat them this quick because we still have quite a bit of time left on like a regular, stream amount. I'm going to be going back and buying. This is actually going way out of the way, however, because the only way back up to where we just were is going through Paradox Cave. So that stinks. But I'm actually going to be buying a blue magic or a blue medicine, and I'm going to be going and getting a fairy. Having two fairies is probably better in a way, but as long as you're at least somewhat careful with your health and you pay a little bit of attention, the blue potions are just better. Especially if you're using a lot of magic, which we are. And we are going to continue using a lot of magic. Alright, so we literally only have one more dungeon item to receive in this game. And it is an upgrade. Can you figure out what that dungeon item could possibly be? What item, what equipment, what thing do we have do you think could still be upgraded? Personally, it's one of my favorite upgrades because I just like this kind of upgrade. But you literally get it in the last dungeon of the game, which is really, it's kind of, I don't know why I'm using that. It's kind of a heartbreak in a way because it would be so useful earlier in the game. But the reason why you get it so late in the game is because the final boss is insane. And if you don't know what you're doing, he will take you out to dinner. If you bonk that wall, Link, it's very useful. And that wall too, why not? Let's go here. Aw, come on. These things can actually block your path, which I can't stand. I think there is a way to KO them. I don't know exactly how that is, or what you have to do. It might have something to do with Quake, but I've tried Quake on them, so I just don't know. It might even be like the Ice Rod or something. Either way, it doesn't really matter, because as long as they're not in our way, we can just ignore them. These darned creatures. So yeah, like I said, you do literally have to go through the whole Paradox Cave, the whole, like, 9 yards of getting back here. Does this... I think this shop does not sell blue potions. I think, yeah, there's only one place in this entire game that sells blue potions, and I believe it's the Witch's Home. There might be a place in the Dark World. There actually probably is. But I don't really think that matters, per se. We know where to get them. It's easy to get there. We can fly to get it. So it's almost like, why waste your time otherwise? But it is cool nonetheless that, you know, we have that option. Being for real though, I think that the only potions that are worth a dime in this game are the green and blue potions. The red potion is, in my opinion, pointless because it's 10 rupees less expensive than the blue potion. Even if you're only healing hearts, that's still cost effective because you could, with that potion, heal all your magic as well. Besides, like I said, you also get a load of money in this game. Loads of rupees. Left, right, and center. I'm going into the final tower with 817 rupees, and I haven't grinded for rupees. And what's nuts about that is that I have had constant blue potions this entire game. At least from Dark World onward, because I don't think I was using them in the Light World. No, I definitely wasn't. It wouldn't make any sense to. Alright, and left we go. Alright, so these are the Lionels. Now, you can fight them in the Light World. But they do also appear in the Dark World. They're basically Ganon's last line of defense in the overworld. And you see how that defense is pretty well folding with the bow and arrow.
Zeake, we are going to break the barrier of Ganon's tower with our power.
So, in my opinion, this is both the coolest looking dungeon, aesthetically outside and inside, but also the funnest in a way, because this dungeon allows you to do something that you cannot do otherwise, and that is you can literally, very literally, which is funny, you can very literally fight old bosses. There are a couple of old bosses in this dungeon. And what's so cool about that is even though those boss fights are harder, they're just legitimately harder in the way that they're put, they are actually easier if you have all the equipment I have. If you go into this tower fully loaded, it basically allows you to defeat these dungeon bosses in ways that you didn't think was possible, especially considering that you fought most of these dungeon bosses in the very early game. So that's so cool. I love that. It basically lets you reuse your abilities on bosses of old to say, hey, look, this is how much more powerful you've become. The silver arrows, you need them to beat Ganon. So you absolutely have to get them. They're a required thing in this game. The silver arrows one-shot all of these bosses. Well, except for, I think, one. I don't think one of them can be hit with the silver arrows. Maybe, but I've never tried, and you'll see why that is later. But as that being said, I think this is a perfect time and opportunity to say our farewells and goodbyes, adieus, and all those things, because I think the stream has gone on far enough, and I mean, we've beaten both Misery Mire and Turtle Rock. We have one more dungeon to do, and the reason why I'm not doing this in this dungeon is because it's pretty well likely that this singular dungeon, as well as the final fight that we have to do, are going to take longer than I just took beating both Misery Mire and Turtle Rock, as well as the backtracking I did a little bit there. It's just going to be longer than that, which is not really feasible for me because I don't want to do streams for 10 hours long. But besides that, we are going to be fighting the big bad Ganon's tower, fighting a Ganon, defeating the wizard, defeating Ganon and all his glorious power in this game with our own glorious power, and finding out what is our very last upgrade in this game to obtain. And I can't wait. I can't wait for the next stream. I can't wait for next week, and we're going to join up and take on the evil warlock himself together. I want to thank you for joining me, and if you like my content, please like, share, share content. Like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, all those wonderful, wonderful things. And while you're at it, have a great and glorious day gaming.